Hello, everybody. Welcome back to CBN Unscripted. I'm your host, Jasmine Monk. Really excited for you guys to be here. Episode 3. Can't believe it. I've always wanted to start this podcast, and here we are. I have not been releasing the episodes weekly as anticipated. I have been really heavily engulfed into the bowling season, so I apologize for that. But I promise when I do push out videos, they will be great. And so today we're going to be talking about the conference championships that just occurred as we're going into postseason. So we'll be going through all 9 of the NCAA Women's Bowling Conference Championships this year in 2026. We will talk about who has earned automatic bids into the NCAA tournament, and we'll also break down how the regionals work, how the NCAA Women's Bowling Tournament works as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so first let's start with kind of the NCAA championship structure. So if you remember from one of the previous videos, I talked to you guys on the layout and the landscape of college bowling and the governing bodies that we have and how it works, right? All of that. And so I want to break down the championship structure for the NCAA. So again, this is women. So how it works is, if you're familiar with basketball, and those of you that know me know that I love basketball, it is a very, very similar format. So what happens is, all the 9 NCAA conferences have their championships. And then so the winners of all of those championships, they get an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So it starts with regionals, and there's 4 regionals. So you have a regional in Arlington, Texas, one in Lansing, Michigan, one in Rochester, New York, and then one in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And then from there, the winners of those 4 regionals, which that is considered kind of our Sweet 16. Then from there, whoever wins, then those top 4 teams, one from each of the regionals, will then go to the NCAA tournament, which this year, which we call the Final Four, it'll be in Ohio. And so it's a normal Baker format, not the mega Baker, which I need to talk to you guys about that. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's just regular, best 4 out of 7 Baker. I don't even believe they're doing traditional games from my understanding. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But from my understanding, they are just doing Baker and best 4 out of 7. So that's pretty much how it works. It's 19 teams. So very, very similar to basketball, where you have, even though you have, some teams that may win their conferences in basketball, there are what are called they have play-in games, right? So there are a couple of those, which is why it's an odd number and it's 19. There's a few of those. And then the winner of those, they'll go on to bowl. Typically it's the number 1 seed or someone with a really much higher ranking, and kind of, again, very, very similar to basketball, but that's pretty much how it goes. So just kind of wanted to lay that out. And then I want to talk to you guys about the mega match thing, right? So there was 9 conference championships, a little while ago, and I was at the SWAC championship. I committed to them. Y'all know how I feel about the SWAC because I am SWAC. I bowled in the SWAC. So you know how I feel about it. I talk about it all the time. So how it used to be when I was in school was we bowled in the roundups, which that's still the same. We bowled traditional games, which is each bowler, right? It's 5 bowlers. They each bowl a full game. And then at the championship, which if you made it, right, they always took the top 6 teams. If you made it to the championship, then we bowled Team Baker games, which is the best 4 of 7. And that was the entire weekend. Do you guys know that rule has changed? So I took a whole day to figure this out. It was a lot. And then I was like, oh, I get it. I think it's really cool because it gives, to me, kind of an even playing field amongst I'm going to give you an example. You may have some teams that are really, really freaking good at Team Baker. They've got their 5, and they're closing their frames, they're doing their thing. But then you may have some teams that are better at traditional. What I like about this new kind of mega Baker format is it's all of them. So I'll explain to you what it is. So if you ever see this, you'll know what it is. The mega Baker format is It's 3 parts to it. So the first part is everyone bowls a traditional game. So you've got your 5 bowlers, they bowl a full game. So then whoever has the highest scratch score, which means whoever has the highest score just of all those games combined, that team wins, right? So let's say it's this team over here. Then you go to the second piece of that match with the same team, and you are bowling 5 Baker games. It is total pinfall. So what does that mean, Jasmine? You're bowling 5 Baker games, which means you have your 5 bowlers and they're bowling 2 frames apiece. And you're taking the total pins of whatever the team bowls those 5 games. So very similar to the first one, the traditional games, but instead of bowling a full game, you're bowling just your 2 frames as Baker. So then let's say this team that already like kind of won the traditional wins that one too, then they win the entire kind of match. Let's say this team doesn't win that, and the other team is like, the other team gets it. So you've got this team that won the traditional Baker, and then you have this team that won the next one, which is the total Baker pinfall. Now it's 1-1. So from there, then you move into the best 4 of 7 Baker. And when they first kind of explained it, I'm like, what? Say that again? And I was like, I get it. It was really cool because sometimes there was what we call a sweep. So again, you've got you have a team that'll take the traditional, you have a team that'll take the total Baker pinfall, and that match is done. Now they're gearing up for the next match. But there were some other times where it was 1-1, and then it went down to the best 4 of 7. And it was so interesting. And so what I have found out is a lot of the conferences have like adopted that model, which again, I think is really cool. Honestly, I think it's pretty cool. I was like, man, I wish they would have this when I was in school. So that is kind of a new conference championship format, just so you guys know. So let's go ahead and dive into, each of the conferences. So we're going to start with the SWAC. Champion is none other than Alabama A&M Bulldogs. I was there, so let me tell you a little bit about what went down. Alabama A&M, they have a mix of players. Their coach has been with the team a couple of years. Their last championship that they won was in 2014. But I'll be honest with you, no one saw it coming. They were looked at as an underdog. And that's not just me saying that. That is me hearing this from parents and coaches and teams. Like, they were considered an underdog. Everyone thought they were going to be out, in the first round. But they didn't. They kept fighting. So specifically, there was a match against Jackson State. They were down. So they went 1-1, like for that Mega Baker format I just explained to you. They went 1-1, and then it came down to the best 4 of 7. You guys, it was intense. Jackson took the first 3 games. Remember, it's best 4 of 7, which means whoever wins 4 games, whoever gets the 4 games first, they win. Jackson was up 3-0. 3-0, which if you understand what I'm saying with the best 4 of 7, that means Alabama has to come back and win 4 games in a row. 4 Baker games in a row, which typically does not happen. So that 4th game, it got really emotional. Well, the Alabama A&M team, they were getting all emotional. And I guess they had a pep talk. They ended up winning that game. And do you know they came back to sweep Jackson State? So I'll talk about Jackson in just a second. They came back to sweep Jackson State. It was crazy. It was wild. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how much heart? And then on the flip side of that, with Jackson State, they weren't getting the breaks either. Literally, Alabama A&M, they were fighting. They were they fought to the end. So they won that match to then move into the championship. It was insane. They even lost their very first match. I think it was Friday, and went into the losers bracket. It was just crazy. Super proud of them. I'm so happy for them. I got to know a lot of the girls. I got to know Coach Moore a little bit better, and it's just well-deserved. And it is a true Cinderella story because they literally started from the bottom and ended up winning, and I'm just so happy for them. They will be headed to Rochester for the Rochester Regional, so I'm excited. I'm really happy for them. So just want to touch on a few more things on the SWAC. So Prairie View. So we all know Prairie View has a long legacy from none other than the former head coach, Coach Glenn White. He's done an amazing job with the program. He's won a lot, very well known and recognized program. So Tiffany Clark is the new head coach. I believe this is year 2 for her. She last year was her first year as head coach. The year before that, she was like an assistant under Coach White. So, he gave her all the goods, told her everything she needed to do. Last year was her first year as head coach. She won. She won SWAC last year. First year head coach, she won. This year, they unfortunately didn't even make it to the championship. So that is PV. Alabama State, I've got to give some kudos to them. They are a young team. Freshmen, if I'm not mistaken, 2 sophomores, 3 freshmen, or 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, something like that. But they are a mighty team. They made it to the championship. Didn't even think they would be there. And it was just so awesome watching them bowl. Taylor Lee, Jenna Knight killing it, literally. You've got Nevaeh, Olivia, and I think it's Kia's her first name. Oh my gosh. Just the energy, the way that they kept themselves composed, mentally tough, and continuing to fight. I loved every minute of it. So I definitely enjoy watching them bowl. If you look at Alabama State's kind of tenure, right? They're always at the top. It's never time that they haven't made the championship. I've been fortunate to know Coach Chapman like pretty much my entire life. I've known him since high school. When I, started looking at colleges to bowl at, I've told y'all my story. He was somebody that I talked to. So he's very near and dear to me. He's a father figure to me. And so I've literally watched him build that program from nothing to being at the top consistently. So shout out to them. Their last championship was in 2024, and this, they got plenty of time. So they made it to the championship with Alabama A&M, and Alabama A&M just outbowled them. Alabama State, they missed some spares, and that's what happened. But what I do appreciate is Alabama State, they kept their head up. So it was really great. Jackson State, Jackson State should have been ranked this year, especially on the NTCA poll, the National 10 Pins Coaching Association. I think I talked to you guys about this before. They've done great all season. They've got a power squad, 6 girls, a lot of energy, just on fire. So if you go on our social media pages, just go watch some of those clips. They've got a lot of energy. This is all the time. They won these SWAC. They were the regular season champs in SWAC. Coach Boykins, head coach, got coach of the year. 3 of their players got all SWAC. 2 were on the all tournament team from championship weekend. Strong season, strong bowlers. They have 1 senior, which is their leadoff bowler, Faith. A lot of energy. I will love her as my leadoff bowler. Like, she has a lot of energy, and she always starts just positive and strong. And so she's the only senior. So coaches pretty much still has the same team. So I'm excited to see what they will be coming with for next year. It's going to be great watching them. But they were a powerhouse. They were winning matches against ranked teams this year. Like, they were really doing it. So super proud of them for just all of their accomplishments this season. Florida A&M, last one I want to touch on in the SWAC. Florida A&M. So I got the pleasure of getting to know Coach Williams. He came from an HBCU from Division II. I don't remember which one, so I don't want to misspeak. But he's got something. He has all freshmen. He had all freshmen this year. And I think the biggest thing is, getting them to understand bowling and working together as a team on that next level. Just from my conversations with Coach Williams and from some of the girls, that was pretty much their focus this season. But just to watch them fight and have the energy and really look up to these other players that have bowled at this level and that have been doing this a while. I was honored to watch it. They stayed the entire weekend, even though they got knocked out, and they stayed for the championship. And it made me happy to see, right, them invested and just gearing up for next year. So he's going to be good. I will watch out probably for them next year. He's got some girls, and I'm like, okay, now. They just need that experience. And so hopefully this year they got that experience. And I think they're going to come out doing some great things next year. So that's the SWAC. Moving on to the MEAC. So our champion was none other than North Carolina A&T. Did we honestly expect that? Most people would say yes. It was them, and it was Maryland Eastern Shore. They defeated Maryland Eastern Shore to secure the title. What I will tell you is that is North Carolina A&T. They won 5 titles in the last 6 years for the MEAC. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was trying to make sure I was reading my notes right. 5 titles in the last 6 years for the MEAC. And in total, they've won 10 MEAC tournament titles. Crazy numbers. Just awesome. Coach Kim, I brag about her all the time. She's so great. And if you don't know her, you need to get to know her. She is just so much knowledge and positivity, and her influence is amazing. So it does not surprise me that she's at the top and stays at the top. This is their 6th straight appearance to NCAA. Yeah, they've got a powerhouse team. I mean, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, I've mentioned this before. I'm very fortunate to know the coach there, Coach Ronald Sims at UMES, and they have been a great team for as long as I can remember. When I was in school, they were a team that we even looked up to, that we were like, hey, we want to beat them. And so we knew they were in the MEAC. So we saw them only a kind of a sprinkle or a couple times a year. But when we did get on the lanes with them, we were ready to square up, and bowl, because we knew we had to. We knew they were not taking it lightly. So that's pretty much what's going on with the MEAC. But, the North Carolina A&T Aggies, very consistent, and they're always doing big things. So shout out to them and congrats to them and Coach Kim. Again, I believe she got Coach of the Year in the MEAC as well. So well deserved. Keep doing what you're doing. You're literally you're such a positive influence when it comes to college bowling, when it comes to women college bowling and HBCU colleges. Bowling is, I love to see it. So just keep doing what you're doing. So next we're going to move on to Conference USA. Can we take a guess on who won? Of course, Jacksonville State. Shannon O'Keefe, congratulations to you guys. On my other episode, I talked to you guys about their record, 42-0. They set like an NCAA record, crazy. They were 42-0, on matches during regular season. It was wild. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then in the midst of that, Coach Shannon, she got like her 1,000th career win. Just insane. They've been doing some bowling. They've been doing some bowling this season. So when I can watch them, I enjoy it. Powerhouse team, lots of energy, and they don't miss. And if they do, they pick each other up. They're a team, and they're marking, and it's just great. So congratulations to them. Conference USA, if you don't know, is one of the more competitive. I would put them at the top, one of the toughest conferences. There are some really good programs, that are kind of at the top of the ratings on the NTCA poll. And so it's not an easy conference to win. So congratulations to them. The ECC conference. So it was Bryant that won. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about them, but I am looking forward to getting to know them, learning more about them. I'm, looking to secure a meeting with their coach and really just see how, College Bowling Network can be of service to them. But congratulations to them. They do have a strong program. And, I just look forward to seeing what they're going to do, especially in the NCAA tournament. In the NEC, we've got, I don't want to butcher it. Is it Duquesne? Maybe. I am so sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. Please don't shoot me. But you could drop it in the chat on how to pronounce it if I pronounced it wrong. But they kind of emerged as a tournament champion. I personally think, just from kind of what I saw, that their execution in the Baker format was the key for their win. But Baker, again, you've got some teams that are really good at just regular Team Baker, and they did it. And so they are headed to the NCAA championship as well. So congratulations to them. In the GLVC conference, you've got the Newman, is it Jets? I think it's Newman Jets. They captured the conference title amongst all the strong Division II programs. Now, you guys remember me telling you, The NCAA championship is composed of Division 1, 2, and 3 teams. And this changes when? In 2028, because now Division 2 bowling has their own championship. I'm so excited, and you're going to keep hearing me say it, so I apologize in advance. But I don't think you understand the levels. Like, I don't think you understand the impact that it brings to the sport. Like, it's going to do positive things. College bowling is growing, and I'm so happy. So, starting in 2028, the D2 schools in the GLVC conference, they'll have their own championship. They don't have to go against, not saying that they won't survive, but they don't have to go against some of these D1 programs, right? So I think it's really cool. Newman is ready, and they are, obviously they have proven themselves to compete nationally amongst Divisions 2, but definitely against Division 1. And so looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the NCAA tournament as well. The CIAA, so for those of you that don't know, they are HBCU conference. You've got the SWAC, the MEAC, and the CIAA. But the CIAA is Division 2 HBCU bowling. So Fayetteville State, shout out to them. They won the championship this year, which means, they got that automatic NCAA bid. I did a little, a little peeping at what they had going on. They've got some bowlers over there. D2 means nothing when it comes to college bowling. You may look at some other sports such as football or basketball. You see a drastic difference. The really cool thing about bowling is it is not that way. It's not that way. You can have a school in the NAIA, which I talked about this in a previous episode, or even Division 2 or 3, they can be just as good of a bowler as someone in Division 1. It's close. It's very, very close. So shout out to them. And just to the CIAA conference, like, I was kind of watching what they were doing. They were doing media. They were doing interviews. And I'm like, I love what I see. I was like, every conference needs to be doing this. And so that's a conversation for a later episode. I'm going to talk to you guys, and whenever I do that episode, I'm going to talk to you guys about kind of my experience this season, with it being our first season and what we were able to achieve and do, and the feedback that we've gotten. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in another episode. But I just loved what I saw with them. And I know those bowlers, they felt all of it. And it probably was a positive influence for them, and they were just excited. So that's what this is all about. Next, we have the AMCC conference, St. Vincent. I've heard of them before. I wouldn't say I've just paid close attention to what they're doing, but congratulations to them for winning their conference. This is a smaller conference. These are smaller schools. But hey, you're on the national stage now, baby. So it's time to do what they already know how to do. And so I'm looking forward to watching them as well. Next, the last conference we have is the Great Midwest and the Conference Carolinas, Belmont Abbey. So what's interesting about them is, so they won their conference, obviously got the automatic bid. But what's very interesting about them is during the selection show, I believe it was March the 25th, during the selection show, I hopped on their live, and they had their men's team in there. And of course they had some fans and parents in there. Then they had the women's team, and it was just so cool to see. They were so excited when they were on the selection show, going through the different regions and what teams are going to be where. And it was just really, it was refreshing to see their reactions. Excuse me, how excited they were. I don't know if they've been to the NCAA before. I'll have to do some more research on that, but it was just, it's a smaller school and program. So I just enjoyed watching that. I'm like, this is what it's all about. And I want to say, I don't know if Belmont Abbey, sorry. I don't know off the top of my head if they're Division 1 or 2. I want to say they're Division 2. I could be wrong. But either way, congratulations to them and shout out to them. And that was my last conference. So I thought I had my other notes. I'll tell you real quick, so I have it. I wanted to talk to you guys about the regionals. They're also posted on our social media page as well, but I'm just going to pull it up really quick and go through it. 1 second. So we have, here we go. So in our Pittsburgh region, and again, this is on our social media as well, so you can go there. In the Pittsburgh region, we have St. Vincent and Belmont Abbey. They're going to be playing in to see who's going to play Arkansas State. And then we've got Nebraska and Duquesne. Sorry again if I pronounced that wrong. And then we've got, so those are the 4 teams. It'll be Arkansas State, Nebraska, Duquesne, and then whoever wins the match between St. Vincent and Belmont Abbey. That's the Pittsburgh region. For the Rochester region, we have Vanderbilt, Maryville, and Sam Houston. And the play-in match for the Rochester region will be the Dominican, School of Dominican, and Alabama A&M. They'll play in, and whoever wins that will play Vanderbilt. And then we have our Arlington region. So we've got Louisiana Tech, Bryant, Wichita State, and Newman. And so, again, go to our social media. You can kind of see the bracket format. That way you can keep up with what's going on. And then lastly, in our Lansing region, we have Jacksonville State, Youngstown State, and then North Carolina A&T. And then there's a play-in match between Carroll State and Fayetteville. So the other thing that I kind of didn't explain, and then I'll wrap this up, is how it works, right? Like, how do they choose what teams are going to go to the regionals? So the 9 conferences that we just talked about, those 9 winners automatically go. From there, then you have to go and if any of those teams were ranked, they get bumped off the list, and then the other people get, whoever was ranked, like in the country, the schools, whoever was ranked with the NCAA points and all that, then you take those teams off that were ranked, that won their conferences already, and then kind of those other teams kind of bump up, and then they're just choosing from whoever's next. So that's pretty much how it goes. Again, very similar to, as far as Sweet 16 goes, very similar to, how basketball works. Couple different rules, but for the most part, it's the same. Sweet 16, Final Four, that type of thing. So I hope you learned a lot in this video. Just excited for all the teams, all the girls. Just now we're headed to postseason with NCAA, and just follow our social media, and we will keep you posted on what's going on. Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe. And in our next episode, we're going to have a special guest. I'm not going to tell you who that is. I want you guys to be surprised, but we will have a special guest in the next episode, and it will be very much a great discussion and great conversation. But I will let y'all see it when you see it, when we drop it. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.